How do you define the word success? Welcome to the Relive the Moments podcast. I'm John Lim. Today's guest is the definition of dedication, discipline, and leadership. John Aguilar. A proud Hastings-on-Hudson native, John grew up in a hardworking family. His mom devoted her life to helping others, and his father, an Air Force veteran, instilled the values of service and perseverance that still guide him today. After graduating from Hastings High School in 1996, John went on to earn his degree in psychology with a math minor from Binghamton University, followed by his master's in secondary math education from NYU. But for the past 25 years, he has inspired students as a beloved math teacher, and for 16 of those years, he has led those kids on the hardwood as a varsity basketball coach. Impressively, with over 200 wins, 4 Final Four appearances, 3 trips to the finals, and a Gold Ball championship, John's coaching resume speaks for itself. He's a 2-time Coach of the Year, recipient of both the IAABO Board 52 and the LHBCA DeMayo Sportsmanship Award, and a certified professional trainer who brings passion and purpose to everything he does. As a father of a son that he coaches, I will tell you that he's not only a mentor and a leader, but he brings everything he can onto the court and off the court. Please welcome a dear friend of mine, John Aguilar.
Thank you, John. Happy to be here.
How we doing, Coach?
I'm doing great. We start up on Monday officially, so it's my most stressful, but also my happiest time of the year.
So do you get Coach a lot or John a lot, or how does that switch through?
Oh man, I get Coach. The older I get, the more Coach I get. Even some of my students, especially when I coached at Rye all those years, I coached a lot of their siblings and their relatives and their cousins, and they'd call me over in math class and call me Coach instead of Mr. Aguilar. But I've been called a lot worse. So,
so how does being Coach make you feel?
There's a huge responsibility that comes with it, in my opinion. It's actually what drove me to become a teacher. At a young age, I knew I really, of course, fell in love with the game of basketball and just teaching other people what I know and the fact that you can continuously get better. I've had a passion for math, so I combined the two, became a teacher, love what I do as a teacher. It allows me to coach, which is my biggest passion in my life. First tattoo I ever got, fun fact, was of a basketball with my wife and my 2 kids' names. And the best part about coaching is that it's not like bowling. We could bowl a perfect game. There's no such thing as coaching a perfect game. You could always get better, always improve, and always learn more.
Well, that I definitely agree with. And I don't know in bowling how many people get these perfect games. But yeah. So listen, as a coach, as a father, as a teacher, you have so many different responsibilities, and success can be defined in many different ways. But how do you define success?
So it's funny. We had a conversation years ago. I'm not sure if my mom remembers this, but my brother and I, my mom's also very emotional, typical Italian woman, proud of her kids, proud of her family. She's literally the best person in the world. And once we had kids, she looked at us and she was like, you know, you never know how you are as a parent until you see your own kids become adults and become parents of their own. And that really resonated with me. And I view coaching very similarly. Each year are small pieces to the bigger story of what it means to be a coach. So yes, we could have success on the court with wins and the kids are happy. But then in 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years down the road, are they still using any of the lessons they learned from you throughout the season to impact their life in a positive way? And I am going to give a shout out to the first varsity team I ever coached was at Rye Neck. And there were 8 kids on the team. I became very close with all those players. And one of my players, Andrew Spinelli, has become a very close family friend of mine. And to be at his wedding and watch him get married and then to watch him have his first kid and now his second kid, to me, that means that's success. To watch him grow as a man off the court is the most successful thing I could do as a coach.
Right. I mean, listen, as a parent, as a teacher, as a coach, as a human, when you can see someone's life that you touch and then all those years later, I mean, that has to be a very amazing feeling. Has he asked you to coach his kids yet?
Not yet, but I made sure my first gift was definitely a basketball sweatshirt to them. And, you know, you would think I was making fun of my mom about being emotional, but I'm also fairly emotional person. And last spring, he texted me. He's like, I'm not sure if your ears were ringing. He works in hospitals and with pharmaceutical sales and everything. And they talked about what it means to be a leader and who's a leader that inspired you. And he's like, Coach, of course, you're the first person that came to my mind. And I was speaking about you. And that goes a long way with me. So I was very proud and happy for him. And to me, that was a successful relationship I had with that young man.
Right. That's huge success. And listen, I've seen you on the court. Okay. Yes. You are not passive. You are very emotional, as you should be. I think we talk often, people talk often about like, hey, don't be a sore loser. When I coach kids, I'm like, listen, you should be a sore loser for about 60 seconds. Mm-hmm. I'll give you 90 if you want 90, okay? 90 seconds, be a sore loser. You lost. Losing sucks, and it should suck. But you got to forget about that really quick and then move on to the next game to get better. How do you feel about that? Do you think kids should be sore losers or?
So we speak a lot about this actually pretty regularly with my assistant coach, Bart DiNardo, who is also one of my lifelong friends at this point.
Phenomenal assistant coach, by the way.
Thank you very much.
He really is active on the sideline.
We could circle back to that in a moment before I forget to answer this question. But you do want kids to care, right? And I could speak even with my own son. He's very competitive. I'm going to say that's from my wife more than myself. Doesn't like losing.
Yeah.
He puts in a lot of time into what he does. So at a younger age, after games where the team lost, even if it didn't matter how he played, he would be emotional and be on the verge of tears. And Bart and I speak about this a lot. And he's like, you don't want him to lose that piece of it because that shows he cares, right? So we had a player who's now a major league pitcher, George Kirby. He's on the Seattle Mariners. And his affect was very similar to that at a younger age. And he was emotional. And sometimes as a pitcher, you have to learn to control it, not control it. But that passion resonated with us. The wanting to perfect your craft, no matter what it is, resonated with us. So I don't think there's anything wrong with being emotional after a loss or after any setback in life. But then you have to respond to that in a proper way. You have to show what it means to be a leader is to, in the face of adversity, still be able to step up, give the other team credit, and then think about reflection of what you could do better so that you're on the other side moving forward.
Right. I think people get lost in the difference of sportsmanship and being a sore loser because they used to be tied together. Like, don't be a sore loser, be a good sportsmanship. It was always said to me in one sentence when I was growing up. And I think to your point, like, you need to accept the loss, right? Own it. You can be upset about it. It shouldn't make you a bad sportsman. Get up, congratulate the other team, right? And then take that energy, which is negative because you're angry or you're mad or you're sad about it. Take that energy and fuel it into something positive of like, okay, the next game I'm going to do better, or I'm going to work out harder, or those aspects of turning something negative into a positive, because we're going to take losses in life.
Correct.
And I feel in today's society, or at least in the town that you coach in now and that I live in, we're way too blue ribbon, where everybody wins something. How do you balance between that kind of mentality and actually teaching the kids to Andrew's standpoint 25 years later?
One of the first things I speak to them about after cuts are made, first practice, I always say, look to your left and right, right? Your job is to be a great teammate. That's the number one goal if you're part of a team. With that said, it is not being selfish or a bad teammate for you to want to be better than the players to the left and the right of you, right? And there's nothing wrong with wanting to be better than your best friend. Now, how you get there shows your true character. Do you want to be better because they're not good? Or do you want to push them every day in practice to be the best they could be and then still be better than them? And that's the goal. And if you get that, you're going to have a pretty successful season. And again, that's not being selfish. That's just pushing your teammates to be the best they could be. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to be better than them.
Did you have two kids throughout all these 16 years of coaching that you could think of that they showed the best in that example?
Wow, you put me on the spot there. I mean, there's so many players that I'm close with that I have so much respect for that I'm not going to name right now because of that specific question. There were a backcourt duo I had, Quinn Kelly and Matthew Tepedino. Ironically, they were on the gold ball team, right? And we didn't play on this conversation. And that was the most successful team I've had on the court. They were great at a young age. They were the two hardest workers. So they were gifted without a doubt, right? They were both athletically gifted, great genes, but they pushed themselves to get better, and then they pushed each other to get better. And they did in the classroom as well. And they were the most dynamic backcourt I've had as a coach thus far. And that was a team that we ended up winning the sectional title with. And unfortunately, it was in 2020, and we were peaking at the right time. We were playing our best basketball at the last month of the season. We had a huge win over Peekskill in the finals. They had won the state title the previous year, and we won by over 15 points. So we were rolling, and then COVID came in, and we were in the regionals, and everything got shut down. So we never know how far we would have went, but those two embodied everything I was just speaking about perfectly.
Which is one of the reasons why I love team sports. By the way, that year I read an article yesterday that says you guys actually were state champs. Somehow it was corrected. It was corrected.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, it was great
to hear. Thank you.
Yeah. So, but the one thing I was talking to Claudio today about it, because he played college ball, is team sports. No matter how athletic your kids are, when they're younger, just get them into some team sport, because it teaches you, to your point, I think in society-wise, it teaches you like how to make yourself better, how to make others better with you. Like, it's such a good societal example of how we have to be later on in life, because we can't do this shit by ourselves. So it makes sense that it's a backcourt duel, or usually a big man and a guard that can happen
absolutely.
with. But yeah,
We that's also what really inspired me to become a teacher as well. It's I'm a pretty good mathematician. There were other avenues I could have taken that maybe would have been financially a little better for myself, in the long term. However, teaching is one of the few occupations where you're working together, right? You're not trying to get ahead of the next person. You don't get paid more if you're a better teacher. Your job is to educate the kids. So you're constantly collaborating with your colleagues and trying to come up with great ideas. And you still want to be the best teacher and the best in the school, but you want everybody to be successful, because at the end of the day, our job is to ensure the future generations are doing more than we ever did. And that's the part I love about teaching.
So where did that passion come from?
I have to say, my dad was not as fortunate as myself and my brother, how he grew up. My grandparents are great. They did all they could for him, but different time, different generation. And he had to work really hard for everything that he gave us. And he gave us a great upbringing in Hastings. And he would leave for a couple of days and work 72 hours straight just to ensure I had the David Robinson basketball sneakers with the pump on the side, right? My mom, she worked, forget about just raising us and cooking and cleaning and doing laundry. She worked, and she worked until she was 65, 68 years old, constantly. And, when you grow up around that, actions speak louder than words. So, at a young age, my brother and I both started working. We delivered papers with my dad. And then we just, no one's given anything. So you have to work for what you want. And we've always worked very hard.
I had a paper route as a kid. It was actually my first company. I did it with my grandma.
Nice.
I think what people don't think about now, right, because you have door dashing and paper routes today, if there is still a paper routes, they use a car.
Yep.
But I remember when we had to do paper routes, we walked, and people don't think about it like we discount the postman, right? And they're saying, when you deliver papers in the morning, especially in New York, it's raining, you're delivering papers. It's snowing, you're delivering papers.
Yep,
like
no
it's
days
7
off.
days a week.
100%.
You're out there no matter what the weather is. I had a big appreciation for every postman after that, and what these guys go through, even though the post office is a horrible business to be. Yeah, but still.
Unfortunately, I do want to give a quick shout out to, I have two current seniors, Sebastian Lim and Steven Grazia, who actually just started dabbling in DoorDash now that you said it. So I like that they have that itch to work. So.
Yeah, and to their credit and probably your lineage, they're doing it together.
Yeah.
There's no greed in it. They split it. They do it together. Like it's
unbelievable.
It's fascinating to watch.
Yes, I love it.
So I love it. I love it as well. Plus, it makes it easier for these kids to be safer while driving. So yeah, it's a bonus.
And going back to what drives you, what motivates you, Coach Ward and I speak regularly about this, and we talk about our own sons, and he's like, well, Jason's have the work ethic because just look at what you do, right? And it's not necessarily what you're saying, but just when your kids grow up in an environment where they see mom and dad or whoever, whatever influential person is, it could be a coach, could be a teacher, and they see them busting their butt every day and doing everything, they're going to have the same mindset. And, my daughter is a musical theater person, so it's funny. My wife and I are both super athletic, into sports. Neither of us could sing or dance. Actually, we could dance pretty well, but usually after a couple drinks. But my daughter went to Hofstra, musical theater major. She worked in Disney for the past year. She came back and she still maintains that passion for performing. And she sang at a couple local restaurants. But in between now, she's working at 2 different restaurants. She does voice lessons. She's teaching 3 after-school classes. And I told her literally last night, I'm like, I am so proud of you just for hustling and working. You're going out and you're getting it. So, I think laziness and I don't see eye to eye, right? I don't understand lazy people, and I'm very proud of both my kids for not being lazy.
That should be a T-shirt. Laziness and I don't see eye to eye.
Well, I was trying to come up with something clever.
That's
I'm
good.
a math teacher. That's as good as it could.
You did
on the spot.
So is she going to sing the Star Spangled Banner one day for us?
She is. I think she's actually going to sing. So we were fortunate enough to get a game at the county center this year prior to a Westchester Knicks game, and she's going to sing the national anthem at that game for us.
Good. Yeah. We'll make sure we're all there to support her. That's a great
nice.
setup. Yeah.
Yep.
Is she doing it for just our game, or is she doing it for
I think she's just going to do our game, but I am working with my contact there, Benjamin Berliner, who is amazing. He's done great things with the Westchester Knicks program. They do school day events as well, and I've brought my students there each year. Last year, they led, it was the biggest attendance they've had for the entire season for a Westchester Knicks team. I know I'm going a little bit on a tangent, but just another person who's passionate about what he does and puts in the time, and the results are their show for it. But yes, I am going to speak with him as well about her singing at a Westchester Knicks game.
That'd be awesome. For those who don't know about the Westchester Knicks, I mean, to watch professional basketball people, we can call it the G League, but to watch professional basketball people play at such an inexpensive price and be so close, like it's a great game to go to. It is
one of the most entertaining things you could do for not a lot of money. Yeah. And every seat at the county center is phenomenal. And every time I bring someone there, because I buy tickets a lot for there to support them, to support my friend Ben, but also because it's one of those things, when you have something really good, if you go out to dinner, you're like, this is amazing. I want you to have a bite.
Yeah.
Right? I want them to have a taste of the Westchester Knicks because when they go, they're like, this is really high level basketball. Going, yes, it is.
Yes.
They're still better than 98% of people in the world at a sport. And they're playing not to entertain you. This is their livelihood. So, whenever you talk about NBA versus college, and I'm a big NBA person, so I know, the purist in me should love the college game more. And I like, as far as X's and O's and strategy, yes, I take a lot from the college game, but I love the NBA. The G League players are a perfect mix of both because, yes, they could have these high-flying plays, but they're playing for a contract. They're playing for a job. They're playing for exposure. So you're getting the most passionate level of playing. This is it for them.
And they're fighting for a 10-day contract. Most people don't know that the G League, you're basically fighting to get a 10-day contract in the NBA to then try to fight for a contract for the next 10 days and then try to get a year thing. And typically it only happens when someone gets hurt to get there. And then once they get there, then it's up to you to keep that spot.
And like you said, 10 days, it's not a lot of time to prove yourself. So you could have an off day and that's it. So I give them a ton of credit and the experience there that I really want to encourage anybody who hasn't been, go check out a game. I promise you won't be disappointed. Very fan friendly. They have different things going on at halftime, t-shirt tosses. If you get a courtside seat, you have access to the stage, which has catered food throughout the entire game. And for someone like me that loves to eat, getting high level food and lots of it, it's just an extra bonus.
So listen, we talked about the passion, where the passion comes from, and growing up in your humble beginnings, and having a dad that put 72 hours in a row while mom was also working and trying to get food, and you and your brother, right? That's a start to where it's at. But I want you to pick a moment when you were a kid where we can relive that you remember, that stuck with you, that you feel helped shape you into that person today that has all that passion.
I mean, there's a lot off the top of my head. I would, I guess as a young adult, teenager at the time, I was a junior in high school. So basketball has been my life since I was a little kid. I've absolutely loved it. I wasn't very good when I was young, but I got much better as I got older. And my junior year, I ended up with mononucleosis. So I had an enlarged spleen. I couldn't play. And that was the first job I got. That was one of the preliminary interview questions that your colleague sent me. What was your first job? It was at Kids R Us on Central Avenue.
Okay, I remember Kids R Us.
Yeah, it was a clothing store. It was great. And that catapulted me into my, I guess, focus and desire to constantly work. And I had to. I wasn't allowed to play. I couldn't. Something I loved was taken away from me at a very young age. And they said you can't play for 6 months. And 6 months when you're a 16-year-old might as well be 5 years, right?
Right.
So
my life is over.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my, what am I going to do with my time? And I can't play basketball. So instead of sulking, my parents encouraged me to do something else for the moment. And I got my first real job. And I was driving not many kids, at least back then, especially were going to school, leaving school, going right to their job. And it wasn't because I needed the money. Like my parents were always good with me. But there was definitely something, it gave me a sense of pride, I think, to collect that first paycheck. And I'm like, oh, wow, I earned this. You know, I worked 40 hours a week after school, earned this paycheck, right? Then I would go to the Gap or somewhere and buy myself a nice button-down shirt or Foot Locker and get another pair of sneakers. And I think that just showed me what like real hard work is, right? Working there. It wasn't easy working there. And I'm glad, I think everyone should have to work retail at some point in their life. You learn to deal with people, you'll deal with adversity, you deal with people that they display their anger they channel their anger is the word I was looking for, towards you when there's nothing you could do I'm not stocking the shelves. And when my daughter was older, I actually said to her, I'm like, you have to work a retail job. You have to. And I'm going to make my son do the same thing. And she worked at Petco. The first day she came home, she was like, holy shit. She's like, people are crazy. I'm like, yes. But if you're going to be successful at anything, you have to learn to deal with people, learn to put on a smile. And for her, she's great at it because it's like being on stage.
Yeah.
For someone like me who wasn't a theater person, never performed in that way, it opened my eyes, right, into respecting what people do on a day-to-day basis. And the truth is something so little as that, me having mono, so then forced me to get a job at Kids R Us, I think has helped me become a better teacher, right? You have parents who are upset and angry, and I learned not to internalize it as much. There's just nothing in the life you love more than your child. So when something doesn't go right, you're not thinking rationally, right? So we know a lot of the anger and frustration sometimes is directed as you as a teacher, but that's not where it's stemming from. And that's really helped me not only ease the situation with parents over the years, but just understand more where they're coming from and just have a productive conversation, even when somebody else might be coming at you a little hot.
Right, which is hard. That retail thing is a great example.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of people talk about the moments that they relive when they're younger, and the fact that yours came from mono.
Yeah.
So you go from being a paper boy with your brother and your dad doing that, so you know what hard work is.
Yep.
Right, and then you're playing basketball, so you really know what hard work is.
Yep.
Okay, because in high school, it's when they introduce you to suicides.
Yep. 100%.
All right, which if you had the right coach, you did suicides until you threw up, and then you really knew what working out was.
Yes.
And then from that, you catch mono, unfortunately, and then it puts you into this forced kind of do something, and you ended up in retail, which obviously has changed the shape where you put your daughter in retail and you're going to put your son in retail.
Like that really shaped who I was because my next 4 or 5 jobs were all retail jobs as well. I'm like, I kind of like the retail aspect. I didn't love everything about Kids R Us per se, but the retail aspect I really liked. So there was a store called Structure. It's now Express for Men.
I know Structure.
Still there, so
I
Limited
shop
owns
there.
it.
Yeah.
So I worked there constantly.
County.
Yep. I worked at the one in when the Palisades Mall first opened. I worked at that one. The manager there loved me because I was reliable. I showed up. I smiled. I was personable. She got a job at a different one. I went there with her for a little, one of the managers, and I maintained that the retail jobs for a long time, even throughout teaching. So it really did shape who I am as a person and my work ethic.
Which is why I tell people, like, you have to be present in life the best you can because you never know what's going to change it.
Yeah.
Right? It changes for a reason. I love the movie called The Adjustment Bureau.
I never saw that.
It's a great movie. Now, it's like a romantic comedy if you watch it that way.
Yep.
But if you watch it in the way that, hey, listen, your life's predetermined, because they pull out this book and you see the lines moving. Your life's predetermined. Mm-hmm. And they have this adjustment bureau that you can call angels, adjustment bureau, whatever term you want to use it. And basically at times they just adjust you because life happens to go a different way. Like your coffee falls, you don't cross the street.
Yep.
Because if your coffee didn't fall and you did cross the street, you might get hit by a truck.
Yep.
Right? And your time wasn't ready yet. And so they just adjusted it by knocking your cup of coffee down. Mm-hmm. And you think of, when I watched it through that lens, I was like, all right, shit.
That's
something happens.
Yeah.
Right. It's pretty deep. Something happens. Like, Hey, I got mono. Okay, cool. That's high school. It happens, whatever. I missed 6 months of basketball. All right, that sucks, but whatever. But then I got the Kids of Russ. Okay. Kids of Russ then led me to this, and this, to the point where that retail moment changed your life so much that you pushed your daughter into it. You have to experience this. Not to make money, not to what, just to experience life as a learning lesson.
Correct.
Like taking a class. Taking a class in college. Hey, if there was a class that you recommend, it's get a retail job. Go work at Petco. Go do something just so you could experience humanity, like you said, in a very elegant way, where I like your daughter's example.
Yeah.
People are absolutely fucking crazy
Yeah, I mean,
in that retail sector.
right?
So,
And you need to be able to react to people.
Yeah.
And it's funny, that movie, I'm definitely going to watch that. It sounds like a mix between two movies I do like, It's a Wonderful Life and Sliding Doors, which is also one you might not be familiar with Gwyneth Paltrow. It's about getting on a subway, and if you don't go on one train, you catch the next one. And she ends up meeting somebody that she's involved with on the first train. And so it's two parallel universes based on one small occurrence. So,
yeah, I got to check out the sliding door one. But yeah, the Adjustment Bureau is very similar to that.
Yeah.
It's Matt Damon.
Love Matt Damon.
Yeah, Matt Damon is the star of it, and the rest of the guys are A to B class actors. Matt Damon is the star of it. And again, you watch it like a romantic comedy, but if you watch it through the idea of, okay, life's already planned by the day you're born, and you can adjust certain things, and sometimes it needs to be adjusted for you because shit happens you can't predict.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I met my wife in the interview at Rye when I went to go work there. So I'm not even sure if I ever told you that.
No. I'm interested in this
I've worked
now.
at a couple different, so I started off very young teaching. I was 22 when I started. I had my first job at Roosevelt in Yonkers. I absolutely loved it. And at that time in Yonkers, unfortunately, they were always, every year, they didn't know if the budget would pass or not. And I'm like, I don't care. I'm living at home. I was working out with all the boys there in basketball. And you're 22. You know, I was in great shape then. And, you know, a lot of those kids were dealt bad hands. They weren't bad kids. So every Friday we'd hang out. I'd buy them pizza from Carlo's across the street. And I loved it there. There was an opening in Pleasantville. The head of my department at Roosevelt's like, that'll be a more stable position for you. Took the job at Pleasantville. Absolutely loved it. Again, much different time than it is now. And I was the head of the math team in the middle school because I am that cool. And every year we would go to this competition at Pace University, and I'd run into one of my, I don't want to say childhood friend. I mean, he's a friend of mine now, but he was actually my CYO coach. When I was in 4th grade, he was a senior in high school.
Okay.
So another Hastings alum. And he's like, oh, come work at Rye. It's great. There's actually, ironically, some other Hastings people that work in Rye as well. And I'm like, oh, I like Pleasantville. It's great. And over the years, they had me teaching some other classes outside of my certification area, which you can't really do now. But again, different times. And there happened to be an opening for exactly what I wanted at Rye. So I loved it at Pleasantville. But I'm like, oh, if I could just teach algebra and middle school math, that would be a better fit for me long term. So I go into the interview, and there's this beautiful woman there. And I'm like, oh, my Lord. So I asked my friend James afterwards. I'm like, he's like, how'd you like it? I'm like, good. I go, what's her deal? So he told me about her. And, you know,
she wasn't the one interviewing you.
She was on the committee. So so she asked one of the pre-made questions.
Okay.
It wasn't, are you single? I think that might have been her question, but that wasn't the one she was
Subconsciously, she probably did. I get
she
that.
probably did. So, but anyway, I mean, that would be another podcast for another time about how it all happened. But as I tell my kids, that's how I met your mother. So it was in a interview for the job at Rye. So going back to your point, if I didn't choose to interview at Rye, you know, my son Jason wouldn't be here. He wouldn't be a teammate of your son.
Right.
So
exactly. Those little things
correct.
that just show up. And if she wasn't there on the committee, she'd not to be on the committee.
Yeah, no, I might not have been as drawn to switch jobs. So.
Exactly. Yeah. And listen, thank God you got the job.
I know.
All right.
It's all, yeah.
Yeah, because
in funny ways.
We love Jay. Sebastian loves Jay.
No, he's again, there's something beautiful about small districts, small communities. I grew up in one, and I loved every second I coached at Rye. I still teach it, and I absolutely love it. I'm still close with all the kids. Super proud. One of my former players, Jay Kestner, just had his debut at Princeton football last Saturday. He had gotten hurt earlier in the year. One of the hardest working, most humble players I've ever coached in my life. And so my point is I love all size schools, but I realized coming to Blind Brook last year how much I'm a small school person. And it's probably based off how I grew up in Hastings. There's just something different when every kid knows each other, when, you know, my son's outside riding a scooter or walking and everyone's going along, waving to each other, saying hello. You go to sporting events, you see the same people. I like to go to as many sporting events as I could in Blind Brook and just immerse myself within the community. And it's been nothing but amazing. So,
yeah, so listen, the small town has its advantages.
yeah.
It obviously has its disadvantages, just like anything
Correct.
else.
Yes. Yeah.
But I think the school that you coach in, for the most part, it's more positive advantages than the negative. The kids are really good about each other. I have never really seen in all the years, I mean, Sebastian's 17, so I've been in that school just forever. There hasn't been like a set of bullying or any real problems that you and I face as kids.
Yeah,
These
I
kids
agree.
have
And I
never
want to
faced.
give I was talking about my former player. His name's Jake Kestner, and I was very emotional leaving Rye. I had a lot of success there on and off the court. I'm very close with many of the families just between coaching and teaching them. And it was a very difficult decision, but in my mind, you only get one shot at being a dad, and I didn't want to miss any of the moments of him growing. I didn't want to miss JV games. I didn't want to miss watching him in practice. And it was hard to leave. So my first day, I go to Blind Brook. This other pretty massive kid walks in the gym, and it's Tyler Terstein. And when I tell you, he reminds me of Jake Kestner 2.0, I've told both of them about the other one. I go, okay, when you guys are older, I'm going to connect you guys because you guys are kindred spirits. And when you go back to the point about, you said there hasn't been a lot of bullying that you've experienced within Sebastian's grades. I think the majority of it starts with the students themselves, who are the big, strong, popular, athletic kids, and how do they present themselves? Right. And this is only my second year in Blind Brook. And the biggest, strongest, best athlete in Blind Brook is Tyler Terstein. He also happens to be the most humble, nicest, caring, empathetic person I've ever coached, right? So when younger kids see that, and kids like my son see that in 9th grade, they're like, wow, Tyler's like that. Tyler can do anything he wants, and he still treats people the right way. And then we have other seniors doing the same thing, and Sebastian and Steven. And I had a conversation with my son 2 days ago, and he's like, Dad, it's just been so much fun. And I've never been part of something like this. I go, it's because the seniors set the tone. And my seniors last year were phenomenal as well. I walked into a very good situation. And I just said, just remember that when you're a senior. This is the conversation we had 2 days ago. Remember the way you feel right now as a younger player on a team and how they treat you. And you need to pay it forward when you're a senior. And then that's how you build a program.
I think that's a T-shirt that every senior should get. I don't care about sports or not. But you think about high school, we should make that like a mandatory thing, club for winning moments. Every student on the first day of high school as a senior should get a T-shirt that says, "Seniors set the tone."
100%.
That's one of the greatest lines I've ever heard because it's so true. Whether it's academic, whether it's socialized, whether it's sports, the seniors do set the tone. You know, when I went to high school, I was lucky to have a senior that he was going to senior year. I was a freshman. We went to Cardinal Spellman, so huge school.
Nice.
But he was a junior going in to be a senior, and I was an 8th grader going to be a freshman, and we worked at the Bronx Zoo together, right?
Very underrated zoo, by the way.
Yes.
Bronx Zoo is phenomenal.
Bronx Zoo's phenomenal. This guy, it was like the mafia these days. Like his name was Rico. His brother ran on the other side. Like talk about a different podcast, a different time. It was my introduction to the world of the Bronx Zoo. That was the Bronx Zoo as we all know it, and the Bronx Zoo that had a second level of business, which basically was like the mafia. It was insanity.
I never got to go to that other level.
Yeah, no, insanity what these guys pulled off. But he was a senior in the same school. So just that little comfort level where seniors had their own locker, their own areas, and freshmen couldn't walk by. And if you were a freshman and you walked down that hallway, all right, you'd either get tossed up on a locker, okay, or you get picked down by something, whatever. And I remember like the first day I walked down the hallway to see me, like, all right, man, come see me before class. All right, because he wanted me to sell those football tickets.
Yeah.
Right? He wanted me to sell football tickets. Say, come see me before class. I'm going to get the tickets, sell them to all the freshmen.
Yeah.
All right, Rico, man, I got you. And as I'm walking down the hall, right before a senior tried to like talk shit to me or put me in my place, right? Some guy was like, who are you here to see? Rico. Everybody stopped. It's like the sea parted. I walked right through like a king.
Yeah.
Rico was like, hey, man, kid, oh, you know Rico? Yeah, I know Rico. Okay, great. He was this big jack dude.
Yep.
Seniors set the tone.
And so, like, how do you quantify that, right? Like, when people say, like, well, what's one thing? It's not one thing. It's a mindset, right? And we talk about mindset a lot as a program as well. But just that mindset of, no, we're all in this together and we want to pay it forward. I also want to give a shout. I mean, there's so many players I would love to talk about right now, but Drew Abate was one of my favorite players that I've ever coached. I'm very close with him and his family to this day. He played lacrosse at Georgetown. And I'll never forget, after we lost in the playoffs at Rye one year, he's like, Coach, can I talk to the team? This is a senior. And he's talking about all this stuff. I'm in the other room, but I could hear him and, you know, all this passionate stuff. Then all of a sudden he starts talking about myself and Coach DiNardo and how invested we are as coaches and how lucky they are to have us as coaches, and they need to take advantage of this. And I'm sitting there like, wow, this kid has nothing to gain by saying this.
Right.
And what he's saying is going to resonate more to them than anything I could possibly ever do or say. Coming from your peers and someone who went through it. And that sort of selflessness is, I said it to this day, and Kevin Devaney could vouch for me. Drew Abate was a springboard to us really having an elite program for as long as we did in Rye, because he set the tone for the future generations. And for that, I'm forever grateful. And Kevin, he probably doesn't remember because he's written a million articles. One of the first years that we hit that 16-win mark, he said the key to Rye's success, and it was like question mark. It was last year's graduate, Drew Abate, and he wrote a little story about it. And I was very proud of Drew because he got there. I always texted him, I'm like, hey, he's like, Coach, great job. I'm like, Drew, this doesn't happen without you, right?
Right.
And if we could just do that, I mean, for a basketball program, that's, in my opinion, how you build. People talk about culture and throw the word around culture all the time. Kids create culture. So if you have kids who buy into your belief set and they pay it forward, that's going to continue. If we could do that in life, think about how good we'd be as a society, right?
Yeah.
If that's everyone's goal, it's just to leave it better and motivate people to do better than you did. And you could be a great person. There's always better, right? There's always something else you could do.
Always. There's always someone better at you. And you should be. You should be around people that are better. Like, never be the smartest person in the room.
Well, Cooper Flagg, actually, I don't know if you saw his quote.
No.
He has a great quote. He goes, if you're the best player in the gym, you need to find yourself a different gym.
Which listen, I love Coop.
Yeah.
The challenge was, hey, is he going to be Christian Laettner coming to the NBA?
Yeah.
And I think in 3 games, in his first 3 games, even before the games, but now his first actual games, he's like, listen, man, I'm not anybody but Cooper Flagg.
Well, so mind you, in a world where everybody reclasses now, and we have kids graduating college at 25 and kids going to college at 20, he pushed ahead a year. He's only 18.
I didn't know that.
He did, yep. He pushed ahead a year so he could get into last year's draft. So, and he did this a while ago. So he's only 18 years old. So on top of everything else, not to get into an NBA talk, but, you know, there's been times he struggled at times this year, and Jason Kidd had playing point, which isn't even his natural position. He's 18. He should be making dumb mistakes, laughing at his teammates farting right now. Meanwhile, he's an NBA player that's being nitpicked for every single game and everything he does. And I couldn't be more impressed with his poise off the court as well in interviews.
We just had a conversation. Claudia, remember the conversation we had when I think it was your hockey, when you played hockey for college, you were basically 18 playing hockey, and the guys were so reclassed, they were like, 23, 24. Right. And in hockey, it's like a real man.
Yeah, no,
like a grown-ass man at 23
You don't have to be good, but
old.
if you get checked by we always say there's strength and there's grown man strength, right?
Yeah,
You ever grow up and you had someone who not in shape, but they shook your hand, you're like, oh my God, like, how are they that strong?
Yeah.
It's grown man strength. So that is, even if you have exceptional 18, 17-year-olds, when you're playing against grown men, it's just different. So,
which is why, like, okay, so Tyler, I've watched Tyler play since he was a baby.
Yes.
Right? And I love Tyler. I'm a huge fan of Tyler. I think he is one of the nicest, like you said, one of the nicest kids just naturally.
Yeah, I agree.
Right? He has no air of arrogance whatsoever as an athlete of being that case. And he's a man-child. Like, Tyler is a man-child.
Yes,
okay?
correct.
He should be intimidating. He should be, like, if you looked at him walking up to you, you're like, shit. And then he walks up to you, you're like, is that human in that body? Like, what?
I agree.
I absolutely.
And what I love about him on the court, though, let me tell you, I would not want to get in his way. He has a fierce side to him, which I love.
Oh, yeah, he's a train.
On the court, he embodies everything. And off the court, the nicest person in the world. So.
Yeah. I love that aspect. Him and
Yeah.
Sebastian were friends. They actually had a birthday party one year at the same time. And I forget what was that? It was a viral game that went crazy. Like the quizzes, like you had to sign up at 8:05 to take the quiz to win money. I forget the name of this game, but I actually built one for him and Tyler.
Oh,
And
nice.
so, right, it's a Buffalo Wild Wings.
Yeah.
So all the kids could play on their phone.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's very
those
underrated
fun.
place too, man. I wish I had money and I was a little older when they moved out of Port Chester, because Buffalo Wild Wings was such a great spot to bring my basketball teams to and for gatherings. It just wasn't run the right way, but the concept is great. I wish it was back.
It is great. I think they all run shitty. We have one here in
Yeah.
Stanford that's
Yeah,
forever empty. But like the concept is great.
Yeah.
It's basically the last sports bar in America.
Yeah, there are none. Sports bars are dying. Yeah, it's just
Buffalo Wild Wings was the sports bar that just couldn't make it.
Yeah.
And wings are great. Wings are great. I mean, they're a great, small, like highly profitable item that you could just throw in the fryer and
Listen,
go.
I love to market. I love my graphic design. So maybe when I retire, that'll be my second career. We'll see.
Is it going to be Coach's Wings, or we're talking about Buffalo Wild
Coach's,
Wings?
no, you know what? I like Coach's Wings.
I like Coach's Wings too. We could definitely rock Coach's Wings.
And then we could have a booth that could be Coach's Corner. And then we could have, bleacher creatures if it's like different seating. We could come up with a couple different things for that.
Now the real question is, can you cook wings?
Not even a little.
Okay.
But I know people that do. I actually have a friend who's a professional chef. So
when can we take that experiment and like test out his cooking of wings?
oh, this spring we'll do it.
I'm in.
And we'll get a smoker. I'm a big barbecue guy. So there's also not a lot of good barbecue places. They just opened one in Mamaroneck, which is pretty good. But there's not a lot up here. My brother lives in Carolina, and so we go down there, and there's Carolina barbecue is different than Tennessee barbecue. One's vinegar based, one is barbecue based, and so I've learned all these things. I love it all. I'm a food person, but every time we go visit him, he's a professor at Duke. We always go out for barbecue.
Yeah, barbecue down south is a completely different
It's so, and everybody when they ask you how your day is, they want to know how is your day.
Right.
It's not lip service. Like
Southern hospitality.
everyone wants to
real.
know everything about you and your family and how the food is, and it's definitely different.
We're in New York. It's like, how's your day?
Yeah.
And as soon as you can see they're starting to talk long, you're like, okay, wrong question.
Exactly.
Wrong question to the wrong person. I got to keep moving.
Yes. Yeah. Definitely different mindset. Not one I could live through now, but I definitely see the appeal. I love visiting. I could see when I'm older going down there. I'm still too fast paced right now to be down there though.
So let's talk about that. Let's talk about now. We relived the moment when you were a child.
Yep.
From mono to retail to the kids are doing retail to hey, listen, Jay, you're not going to college until you get some retail experience.
100%.
Right?
I don't care what it is. He's working somewhere.
I love it. As an adult, you're 22 teaching in Roosevelt.
Yep.
Which you're right. When you were down there to play basketball with those boys, you better be in shape because they always had a great sports team, being that large and that diverse. But what's a moment as an adult that you think that we can relive that changed your trajectory a little bit?
Oh man, I could go with positive stuff or sappy stuff or somewhere in between. Unfortunately, we've had. I'm going to actually just talk about my daughter because she's actually my stepdaughter, and
what's her name?
Alexa McRedmond.
Okay.
And so when I came into her life, she was 4 years old, and my wife and her father, they weren't married, but they were together. They had Alexa, and he and I always got along great because we both loved the same person, and that was her. And we just wanted whatever was best for her. So at her soccer games, sporting events, when she was singing, he and I, we realized, you know what? If we work together, her childhood will be better.
Right.
Right. And a couple layers to this, and I'll try to be brief because I could talk about this for hours. One, just learning you could love somebody that wasn't biologically yours as much as I love her, showed me something, right? Because you don't know it until you go through it. Her giving that love back to myself and my family has been amazing. I mean, both my parents, her and my mom, are probably closer than me and my mom. They have a very special relationship. And unfortunately, her father had passed away suddenly when she was in 8th grade. He was a lieutenant at the fire department in Yonkers. And that changed her life tremendously. I'll never forget this day. And we had a game against Nyack that day. And she still wanted to come. So we go to the game, and the national anthem came on. So, of course, I was more emotional. So I'm in tears. She's in tears. I tried coaching the game. I was a wreck. And I'm very, as you know from watching me for a year, I'm very meticulous in everything I do and the play calling and the plays and positioning. Maybe not as much as Coach Ward with positioning. But as far as most coaches go, I'm very into that. That game was like a blur to me. I made no adjustments. I was like, I play hard. I'm crying during the game. We lost. I remember saying to the other coach, I'm sorry. I go, it's not. I'm not crying because we lost. Going back to that. He's like, no, your assistant told me what happened. And, so every time from that moment forward, my daughter sang the national anthem at most of our games at Relive and she was my manager as well. So she wasn't into sports. She didn't play sports, but family to me is the most important thing, which is why I had left Relive to come to Blind Brook for my son. So since my daughter didn't play, I made her my manager. So she was at my practices. She did the clock. She did the book every game. She sang it. So she was around and involved with us. And from that moment forward, every time she sang the national anthem, it's hard for me not to get choked up even now.
Right.
As she sang at one game at Blind Brook last year, and I was still like holding back tears. And just to watch her blossom into the, like I said, motivated, hardworking person now. And the way my family embraced her and she embraced my family, it definitely changed me as a person.
Now, listen, when I cry when she sings the national anthem, I want everyone to understand I'm crying because of this moment now.
Sure.
In that scenario while we're sitting there in the county center, like, Dad, why are you crying? Watch the podcast. Watch the podcast, okay? Watch the podcast. You'll get it.
And we've been through my sister-in-law as well, Krista McRedmond. She passed away a year later, and she was 38 years old. She had a battle with colorectal cancer, and again, we should actually do another podcast around her, and I'll bring in people. She talked about someone who impacted lives through her journey. She started a blog. When we tell you at her wake, they had to close off the streets. We were there for hours after it was over. Hundreds of people that my family and my wife and my mother-in-law and father never met. They're like, she changed my life forever, just in her words and her journey. And she was fortunate that she got connections with some important people that were able to get her into trials. And she was given a 6-month sentence, and she ended up living for 5 years. So she fought to the very end. So we call her Warrior Woman. And there's a logo that the family has with different words that she embodied, and the women all have tattoos of that. And her mission was, well, why do I get this access and other people don't, right? So then she made it her mission to make sure other people without the same means or who didn't have the same connections, why am I getting better treatment than a 14-year-old in Harlem that just doesn't know the right people or doesn't know the right people have the money to get her into these trials? So she dedicated her life while she was going through everything she was going through to try to make these more accessible for other young adults going through cancer. And she was awarded with some pretty big awards even after she passed away. So,
which is interesting because I learned early on from a guy. He said, "Listen, how do you judge a human success?" Right? He said, "How do you judge a man's success?" And I changed it now because obviously, it's how you judge a human success. It's not about how much money they have in the bank account, but it's how many people show up at their funeral.
Yeah, it's
right. It's sad we don't get to see the success because we're the ones at the funeral, right? For us, but when you talk about like door shutting, street closing,
it was honestly it was sad, but almost touching and happy at the same time.
Right, like, it's inspirational. It's really inspirational.
And for her parents to be like, "Wow, we raised a daughter who impacted this many people. They did something right." You talk about success as a parent. Well, my mother-in-law and father-in-law, they were successful as a parent because, wow, look at the impact our daughter had. So
it's one of the reasons why we're focusing on the winning moments, right? Not to just build a brand, but that whole brand is built on the idea that, hey, let's raise as much money as possible, right? We have an outrageous goal to give back $1 million to youth sports and activities. So not just, sports as we traditionally know it, but dance and drama clubs and listen, even coding classes or math classes for kids to do that. Like, we all have these moments, right? You have to have the passion and the purpose.
Yep.
To your point, the purpose. So I think it's an amazing story, and I love it was Woman's Warrior Woman.
Warrior Woman. Yes.
Warrior Woman. I love that. That should be the name of a charity. By the way.
Yeah.
Whoever starts that charity, license fees goes to the family in that scenario. We'll broker that deal together.
Yes.
All right. So before I let you go, I asked all the guests the same question. What is your favorite quote?
So when my son listens to this, he's going to roll his eyes because I'm a big quote person. Like every day I have other quotes that I'm either making up or quoting and I'm telling him. But this by far resonates with me the most as a worker and as a coach, and it's a Bruce Lee quote. And it's I don't fear the man who practiced 10,000 kicks once. I fear the man who practiced one kick 10,000 times, right? And I mean, it aligns perfectly with basketball. You have all these trainers and people doing all these crazy moves and dribble step backs and fadeaways. Give me the kid who took 500 elbow jump shots a day. That kid's going to be a better player, right? And that's not fun. It's not glamorous. But hard work isn't always fun. Being successful isn't always fun. My brother is one of the smartest people I know. While he was born smart, he wasn't born as smart as he is now. He taught himself how to speed read. He taught himself how to become a lifelong learner. And that's boring. And that's a lot of work. But he put in that time. And now, because of that, your brain's the biggest muscle you have. And his brain is significantly larger than mine and most people's because of the time he put into it. And that quote embodies that concept that if you do something enough, it might not always be fun. It might not be glamorous, but you're going to be better than 90% of the people at it.
Right. Consistency.
Correct.
That's your quote just hit me with the one word, consistency. You just be consistent at one thing and you're going to win. You'll win in that case. I love that. Listen, you have so many inspiring stories. If anybody wants to get a hold of you, how do they reach you?
They can reach me at blindbrookbasketball@gmail.com. You can email me directly. I'm also on Instagram and X. So yeah, just Google me and you'll find me.
I like how you said X. People are still on the Twitter side.
I actually caught myself. I was going to say Twitter. I've never. That's the first time I've ever referred to it as X. But I felt like this was an official podcast and I'm being recorded, so I didn't want Elon to get upset with me.
Yeah. No one wants Elon. He'll somehow send a satellite to your house. I
have enough issues. I don't need that.
No, absolutely. Well, listen, Coach, it was great to have you. We love having people on this show that can help us relive these moments, share their moments, be super vulnerable because it teaches us something. I learned a lot today from Coach. Everybody out there, like and subscribe, share this podcast. If you have anybody who wants to share their story, reach out to us. We'd love to have them on because the best way to learn is from others. And I'm so grateful to have you on this show, Coach. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Claudio. This is great.